We're really glad that you're here at our SCADTalk Alumni Edition. We have a really great alumna who's returned to come and speak with you guys today. And raise your hand if this is your first year here. Wow. Raise your hand if this is your fourth year here. Third? Great. So we've got a wide gamut, right, of experiences at SCAD. But this talk is going to have something for all of you, right? Because the speaker who's coming up was sitting right where you're sitting right now. She was at SCAD, she lived it, she was in the trenches, she knows what you are going through and what you are about to go through if you are a first year. So I think that she has a lot of valuable information, and it's going to be a very fun talk, and I couldn't be more thrilled to see this final version of the talk. Please welcome the SCAD 2017 valedictorian back to the courtroom stage, Mohini Khadaria. Give her a round of applause.
Hi everyone, how's it going? This talk starts how most days end, scrolling mindlessly on Instagram. A couple months ago, I'm in bed, phone in hand, it's about to fall on my face. That's happened to you before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm just scrolling, there's a cute dog, another cute dog, there's Lizzo, get excited. I see another cute dog, pizza, some latte art, and then suddenly, I see this photo posted by one of my favorite SCAD professors, Derek Black. It's a photo of two SCAD students giving their own SCAD talks in this very place. I saw them and they looked so confident, they looked so professional, and just seeing that took me back to May 2016, where I was given the opportunity as a student for the first time to share my story to address a crowd. It was exciting. So when I saw that photo, I knew I had to say something. Immediately I comment, congratulations, you guys look good, I wish I could be there. Next thing I know, I get an email from SCAD saying, would you like to come to SCAD? Give another talk. This was my last talk 3 years ago with my best friend Jamie. Now when I get this email asking if I would like to come back as an alumni to share my story once again with current students, of course I said yes, immediately, like there was a reflex. And I was like, yes, I'm coming. But I wasn't an ex-B because, you know, once a B, always a B. You've heard that multiple times, right? I thought to myself, look, lady, you graduated less than 2 years ago. What wisdom do you have to impart to students besides how to make your roommate's cat love you back? Plan A. Feed it sometimes, you know, buy cat toys, play with it. Maybe, just maybe even clean the litter once in a while. It might be appreciated. Plan B. If plan A doesn't get you enough cuddles, try plan B. Don't be afraid of scratches. Don't be afraid of sacrificing a couple scarves here and there. And in my case, an income tax return. Well, we're not here to talk about Junebug for 30 minutes. But at the same time, we're also not entirely not here to talk about that. So before I get into it, some questions. Trey asked this already. How many of you are current SCAD students? Okay. What's your major? Sorry, I'm about to make this interactive. What's your name? Ashley, thank you for coming. So graphic design, that's awesome. I was advertising and graphic design myself. So after graduation or 10 years from now, where do you see yourself? What do you want to do?
Hopefully, I like handling my own graphic design.
Awesome. So like your own studio, your own shop. That's great. What if I had a plan too? That's like a really good plan A. But before I tell you about my plan, I have to tell you 3 things about me. 1, I loved my old job. Seriously, I loved it. 2, I really love my new job. And 3, and this is a little bit tricky, but the jump from my first job to my second job changed my perspective in life. I went from being a plan A obsessive to a plan B enthusiast. Let's call my plan A zigging. Now, don't get me wrong, zigging works. You come up with a safe plan, you do everything you need to do, and you might get exactly where you want it to go. What it doesn't guarantee is when you're there, you don't know if you still want to be there. I was SCAD Hong Kong's 2017 valedictorian. My first thought, even when I'm on the stage there, was, how did we get here? My parents shared the same exact thought. How did we get here? See, as an international student, my parents didn't really get a chance to interact with my professors that much while I was a student. So the first time they met them was at SCAD graduation after the ceremony. Now, a lot of the interaction went kind of like this. A lot of the conversations when I introduced them was like that. Take Gianluca, for example. I don't know how many of you know him. He's the design professor here. Gianluca, this very tall, very Italian man, comes up to my kind of tall, very Indian dad and says, "You must be so proud of Mo." My dad looks at him, confused, a little bit concerned, and it's like, "Yeah, we're really proud. She keeps surprising us." Now, you must be thinking, why the surprise? Why the confusion? You see, I'd given them a lot of reason to be confused. Don't blame my parents. Last time they met any of my teachers ever was in high school. They'd been invited to the high school to talk to my teachers because I had failed IB physics. And I was about to lose my diploma unless a year later I was to give that again. I don't even know why I took IB physics. But this is my brother. So the thing was that I was never really good at anything apart from the creative stuff before SCAD anyway. And my brother, my amazing brother, he's super academically inclined. He was always that person who got the scholarship. He got a full ride to Penn State while I was failing physics, by the way. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my brother, and as different as we are, our parents raised us the same way. We were both told, do what you love, follow your heart, you can be who you want to be in life, which I really appreciate because not a lot of common Indian households share that view in parenting. So me and my brother got pretty lucky, I think. So when it came to university, high school was done, I had to choose something, I had to choose where to go. The resonating advice from my parents, my teachers, my brother, friends, even my college dropout best friend was like, if you are going to university, do what you know, do what you love. So like a lot of you, I ended up at SCAD. Now don't get me wrong, I was a really bright-eyed freshman. This is Halloween, first year. I came as a B, that's how much I loved being here. And this was a pretty last-minute costume, as you can tell. But even though I was here and I was happy and excited, it was still school to me, so I did not expect to do well. Like I said, I was always below average. I was never good at school. So I didn't think I was going to do anything. And then came something that I don't know how to say this, zag number 1, where my first quarter at SCAD, one of my first classes, I get an A. Now you must be thinking, why am I whining about an A? But you see, this was not the plan. I thought that through SCAD, I will just somehow keep my head down, try a little bit, and pass with not flying, but fluttering colors, and get my degree this time. So when this A came about, I was like, okay, now I have this A, accidentally or not, I have it, and I have to do something about it. I have to change what zigging means. And so I decided, okay, I'll have to pick a major that I think I can be good at, and then everything else has to be planned out to the T. Got zig, so I picked advertising as my major, and once I knew that ad is going to be my major, everything else was planned out. I knew I had to put together a killer portfolio at SCAD. I had to find a job in one of the big 4A agencies in Hong Kong, win all the awards from Clio's to Cannes Lions, slowly unlock world domination by becoming literally the global CCO, and then retire and paint ugly portraits of people all around the world. I had my whole creative spinster life figured out. That was plan A. Then came zag number 2. See, I had already started my plan A pretty well. Zigging was going well. My portfolio was coming together. SCAD professors are amazing. They were helping me realize my potential, and I had amazing pieces in my portfolio. I was ready to start applying for jobs in a couple of years. I was still a sophomore at this point. And it was exciting. I could not wait to get started on this dream to retire. And before we get there, though, like, I got selected for this SCAD Pro course for Commonwealth Bank of Australia. Now, SCAD Pro, we used to call it SCAD CLC when I was still at SCAD, but it's a course where you collaborate with a company, right? Now, what Commonwealth Bank wanted us to do was try to tackle financial illiteracy for developing countries by using design thinking. Nothing to do with advertising. Why would I want to join that course? At the same time, my portfolio was pretty ready already, and all my professors were like, well, you're being picked for this. Just do it. It's not going to be anything. It's a 10-week course. You'll get to work with professionals. Doesn't have to do anything with advertising. You can go back to it afterwards. So I was like, sure, this would be fun. And we ended up doing a pretty cool project. Like, we had a chatbot for them, and the presentation, again, was right in this room, which feels really meta right now. But yeah, it was awesome. Like, our whole presentation went well. The course was successful, to a point that they offered me an internship in UX design at Commonwealth Bank. Again, why would I want to do a UX design internship when my plan is still to be in advertising? This is where I would say Rima comes in. How many of you know Rima from SCAD's career department? She was like, you have to do this. You can still, again, finish the internship, then go back to plan A, do your job. Find a job. Your portfolio is good. You'll find a good 4A agency to work at. So again, I thought, okay, just an internship. It's not too crazy. I can do it and go back. Then I got Ogilvy. So this was while I was at an intern at Commonwealth Bank. There was interview day happening at SCAD. So I came in with my portfolio, showed it to every employer, anything to do with advertising and graphic design, and I got placed. I got my dream job. I was an English copywriter for Ogilvy Hong Kong, and I came up with my hashtag Mogilvy. So anything to do with what I did when I was there, you can see on there. Ogilvy was amazing. As soon as my internship got over, I was ready. First day, go in. This is it. I thought, okay, foot's in the door, retirement's coming. I was so happy. And I also got a really good team to work with. I had an amazing boss, and he's this funny man from Sheffield who knows everything there is to know about words and about buses. I've quizzed him. He knows everything about buses. Anyway, soon he became my mentor and my drinking buddy, and he's still both of those things to me. But under his guidance, I started creating a lot of good work at Ogilvy, and copywriting was working out for me. I felt like this is good. This is what I'm here for, and everything was just working out. I was creating good work. Work never felt like work. I would be there, I would go to work, I would do everything. It just felt like I'm hanging out with a bunch of people who are just as creative, more creative, and they're guiding me. I thought this is what it means to do what you love. I didn't feel challenged at work, but again, it was fine because I was enjoying it. What more could you ask for? To a point that a year and a half later, it still didn't feel like work. And to be fair, yes, it's advertising. A lot of the times we're not working, but like this. But it was amazing. I was happy. Then came zag number 3. How could the universe let me be happy, right? So zag number 3 comes in. After the Commonwealth Bank internship, I didn't think once that I would be working at a bank again. let alone a beast of a bank like HSBC. It was not something I expected to do. It all started with LinkedIn, a really badass recruiter named Kiara, and a dangerous amount of cough syrup. Don't do it, guys. So one morning, I'm in bed again, and I get this call from Kiara. And trust me, before her, my relationship with recruiters has been a little bit rough, because they always contact me for jobs that require more than 10 years of experience, and then I have to tell them very awkwardly that 10 years ago, I was 14, don't have experience. So when Kiara just called me in the morning, I might have addressed her pretty aggressively at first, because I was like, how did you get my number? Why are you calling me? She's like, you gave me your number last night and told me to call you. See, I was so dysfunctional, beyond dysfunctional from the cough syrup the night before, that I don't even remember giving my number to this very nice recruiter. So I said, okay, let's start over. Sorry about that. And she looks at me and she's like, okay, so I have this amazing opportunity for you at HSBC. I'm like, I said sorry too soon. She's nuts. What does HSBC have to do for me? Like, I'm an English copywriter, working in advertising. Why am I even on their radar? So I told her politely, no, thank you. I'm really happy in my job. Not looking to change right now. We had a lot of back and forth, right? Like, she kept telling me, you need to send in your resume. Just send in your resume. Whether or not you get the interview, that's fine. HSBC became my mistress. See, plan A was Ogilvy, it was becoming global CCO, it was retirement. Now I'm suddenly cheating on it with HSBC. I mean, to be fair, it's not a hotter mistress than my wife, but at the same time, I was really excited. So fine, Kiara convinced me to send my resume, and everything from the resume to the back and forth calls, sneaking out of work to just make a phone call to my recruiter, coming back in, meeting her for coffee in the middle of the day, to even going in for the interview, taking a day off, sick day, to go for an interview for another job. It all felt wrong. Like, I really felt like I was cheating on someone. I felt like I was cheating on Ogilvy, felt like I was cheating on my boss, and I was cheating on plan A. To say that this caused me anxiety would be an understatement. Every day I was waking up and what am I doing? I would go to work and I felt like I'm lying to all of these people every single day. And HSBC is a long recruitment process. It doesn't happen in a month. It took 6 months end to end. But I wasn't lying for 6 months. It was about 3 months though. And it was a lot of stress. At this point, I decided, okay, it's time I go to therapy. Everyone gets therapy. Trust me, you should do it. Get it. SCAD has resources. Hong Kong has amazing resources where they will work with your budget or lack of a budget and get you the help you deserve. Nanki was my therapist, is my therapist. She's amazing. Honestly, the best decision I made last year was not taking HSBC, it was going to Nanki. She changed my perspective in the sense where I got so much clarity out of those sessions as to why am I making these life decisions, because I knew HSBC is good for me, but I felt guilty about it. I knew I wanted to explore this, but it gave me anxiety. So sitting with her, hour-long sessions, working this stuff out really made me want to pursue this opportunity. So I would go as far as to say that if it wasn't for therapy, I wouldn't have even explored HSBC. I would have sabotaged it for myself and probably gotten fired from Ogilvy at the same time. Like, all my anxiety was not good for productivity as well. So it's good, you should go. Anyway, I got to the interview, right? Like, Nanki convinced me, Kiara convinced me, and the freaky part is my recruiter Kiara and my therapist Nanki look like they could be twins. I don't know if that's a sign from the universe, but I trusted them both to lead me where I have to be, which was the interview. Now, even walking into the interview, right, there were two things clear to me. One, I'm so underqualified for this job. And two, I'm never gonna quit my job. I'm never gonna take this. This is just something I'm doing to explore, to practice interviewing, I told myself. Halfway through the interview, I realized I'm wrong on both of those accounts, but also it hit me. I've been too passive and too comfortable in my job. Ogilvy was great, but you should never feel that comfortable and that passive. Like, I wasn't growing. There was nothing challenging me. And I didn't think that was a problem up until this interview. So by the end of the interview, even though I knew that, I was pretty sure that I had it in the bag. I knew it was coming. But I also knew that whether or not I get this job, I had to change something. It lit a fire under my ass. Like, I had to crush plan A. It had to go. Now, how do you quit a job you love? Of course, the interview went well. I got the job. I accepted it. But now, there was a different kind of anxiety. I had been lying for all of this time, and now I want to marry my mistress. How do I tell my boss I'm divorcing him? It's hard. But when you have a reason like mine, and when you have a mentor like mine, they will support you. They will support your decision to want to grow professionally and to want to explore something. But this was also the first time in 6 years that I thought about a future not in advertising. I was looking at my skills as just what they were, just skills, and I was not looking at them as something that can fit a box or fit an industry, fit a job title. You see, everything I learned at Commonwealth Bank, something that I thought was a really double zag away from what I wanted to do, that is what put me on HSBC's radar. If I hadn't worked at another bank, I don't think HSBC would have noticed me. Another thing was, something that I had to do when I was in that internship that I hated was working with markets across Asia. I hate being on conference calls back then, but that gave me all the practice I needed because that's a huge part of my job now at HSBC. But I'm good at it and I like it. So just remember that any of the skills you pick up, whether it's not directly related to your major, it will be useful. That being said, everything I learned at SCAD and at Ogilvy has also proven useful for me at HSBC. I love working there. I've worked at HSBC for 4 months now. I still can't tell you with absolute certainty that it was the right decision to move from Ogilvy to this, but I can sure as hell tell you it wasn't the wrong decision. I'm somewhere in the middle there. Because in the 4 months, the amount of stuff I've learned and how much I'm growing, I was already good at my job at Ogilvy, so there was no room to grow. With here, I wasn't good at my job from day one. You can ask my colleagues. But now I am. So you have room to grow and you have room to explore. But joining HSBC also gave me the similar feeling I had in high school where I didn't feel like I quite fit in. I felt like a fish out of water. But the difference between high school and HSBC was, in high school there was nothing empowering me. I felt like I was learning how to dive in a shallow pool, as opposed to HSBC where I already know how to dive pretty well, and instead of a shallow pool, there's a deep blue sea. So there's so much to explore, there's so much to figure out, and all these opportunities. And their digital department's pretty cool. I mean, they're not banky at all. So that was a big perk for me. So what I hope you get out of my talk is, 1, zig or zag, make a decision. Whenever you're faced with any sort of crossroads in your career or in your personal life, just pick one and just trust the universe to let them guide you. And seek out people in your life that you can also talk to about it, but don't let it cause you any tension for whether you're making the right decision or not, because you're not gonna know. You can't know. So just go with one thing. 2, just do it. Explore things outside of your major. If you're a graphic design major, go for illustration class. That's still too related. Go for sequential arts or even horse riding, equestrian. Just do it. You might get something out of it, you know? And you may never know, like you might have a dream of becoming a jockey that you had never known about before that. So try things out. Send out your resumes to jobs that you think you can't get. Go for interview day even if you're a freshman. Because if you go for interview day and you're a freshman and you meet an employer that obviously you're too underqualified for, you have 4 years to prepare to meet that same employer again 4 years later and get that job. And number 3, if plan A doesn't work, try plan B. I think all of you deserve cat love. Just get the glove you deserve. Get some scratches. It's okay. Thanks, everyone.
All right, thank you, Mohini. Awesome job. We're going to open the floor to a brief Q&A now, so if you have any questions for Mohini, please ask them now.